getting into the car for the very first time, whatever case is, the main thing you don't ever want to do is panic. You don't ever panic. Once you panic, it's game over.
Yeah.
Because, because like I said, when I found out, when I started tapping the brakes and, okay, brakes are gone. I could have freaked out and just stepped all the way down. And let's say for some odd reason, it comes back and it just locks up the tires. And guess what? I'm in the wall.
Wait, stop the podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment who I should have next as my guest. Thank you.
What's up, everyone? This is Jose Jimenez with Speedlight Creations. I'm here at the Go Hard podcast, and we're pretty much going to be talking about fabrication, welding, and race cars.
Welcome back to Go Hard Podcast. I'm your host, Noah, as usual. We have another special guest here today for you guys. You might have seen him at XRP Racing. You might have seen him on Instagram building like these really, really nice trucks, really, really nice cars. Today he's gonna sit on the podcast with them. We're gonna talk about racing, his cars, his builds, the future for him. Let's give it up for Speed Lab Creations. Let's give it up, man. Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are. For those that don't know, your business.
My name is Jose Jimenez. I am the owner of Speedlight Creations, and basically what we do is we're a fabrication company. So anything that has to do with TIG welding, making parts in general for any application. That's pretty much what we do. So.
And tell us a little bit about you.
Nothing
too fancy.
Nothing too fancy. Yeah, just
tell us your background, like the racing, your racing background. How'd you start?
I've been drag racing wise. I've been doing it for a little bit. Obviously like anything else. A lot of people have the whole story of, they were street racing before, doing all that. And
You started in ranking?
yeah, actually, I started, ranking Westheimer, all those. What's the other one? Piedmont, like all those places. You know what I mean? I started really, really young. I actually started going like out there when I was like 11, 12 years old.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, explain ranking. Like what went down behind St. James?
It's basically just
Bring what you got.
Yeah, just bring what you got, whatever. Make a call out to whoever. Normally you'll have an idea of who's gonna be out there.
Yeah.
Just kind of go out there and race, and just it is what it is.
What'd you take?
Well, so at the younger age, like I said, I didn't really. I was rolling with. I've always had older friends. So like when I was like 11, 12, the guys that were doing it were like 18, 17 and stuff. So they all had basically they all had Hondas. Either they were naturally aspirated or they were all nitrous. So I used to kind of hang around with that crowd back then. And then whenever I finally had my first vehicle, around 13 or so, I started going out there. Just like I said, it was just I think I had what the hell did I have? I had a Doso. Single cam Doso, and then I ended up putting some nitrous in it. And then
Is that the one with the
hardtop?
The hardtop?
You can take off the hardtop.
Yeah.
So I had that. That's what I started with. It only lasted like 5 days. Ended up flipping it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
like on the street or selling it?
actually on the highway.
Oh damn.
Yeah. And it was like a freak accident kind of thing. It's just I hit at the time I worked there off of 45 and underneath the bridge of Maine, there used to be a really bad potholes.
That must have been really bad.
Yeah. Well, I end up hitting it. I don't think I was going too fast. Whatever.
How fast? Like
probably like 75, 80.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't crazy. It was just going to the curve or to the turn, and it ended up hitting a pothole and I ended up breaking the rim.
Oh wow!
So when I broke the rim, it just tossed me to the side, and when I went sideways, a car clipped me right in the center and just
damn
finished it off that way.
It's tiny car too.
Yeah, it's a small car. So like I said, I've had some accidents in the past. So
any injuries?
Actually, no. Luckily, I got out with just some scratches.
Damn,
So,
nice.
And normally that was crazy because that night, normally I never wear my seatbelt, and that day I wore the seatbelt, and that happened.
That's crazy. I always hear those stories like, oh, I didn't wear my seatbelt, and then like, you know.
Yeah, it just like it
Yeah,
just you know
yeah,
something felt off. So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I put the seatbelt on
yeah.
and just that's how it happened. So
Exactly. Who was like? That was like what year was that? 2000 when in ranking? 2000, 2001.
man, yeah, I have a really bad memory. So yeah, it's
So like
back there. Yeah,
the F body started coming out, right? The Camaros, the LS
yeah,
ones.
the F bodies and all that stuff. Those were all like the cars to get. I think the Mustangs. Like
Yeah.
I think it was the first year of the Cobra. Oh
Oh
one, I
three.
think, right? Or no,
Oh three.
oh three.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's still the GT stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Um, so tell us a little bit about you, like your background, like, um, what got you into, um, racing? Like, you said you had the Honda. Like, what what was after the Honda?
So like how I got into it? Man, funny story. Like I said, neighborhood friends and stuff like that. We still talking here and there.
What part of Houston? Like,
North side area.
okay,
So
Sam Houston, Jeff Davis.
Jeff Davis.
Okay.
Yeah, Jeff Davis. Well, that's a whole nother story. I jumped around some schools and stuff, but like I said, yeah, that's I I guess we can call it Lindale or North Central, whatever you want to call it. It's right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Down the road from Moody Park. That's pretty much where I grew up at my whole life, and um, so what got me into the whole car deal? Funny story. I mean, I used to always watch like NHRA. So like the funny car stuff and the pro stock and all that. So, I was a really big fan of it. When growing up and like anything else, right? Playing with like Hot Wheels and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So it just kind of developed a passion for the car stuff, and then
Need for Speed. You ever play any Midnight Club?
I actually played Need for Speed for a little bit. I wasn't too much of a video game guy. I mean, I have all the consoles and stuff, but I was always kind of into sports. So,
Yeah, yeah.
that's kind of we don't have that luxury like what kids do nowadays. You know what I mean? Like my parents always, or at least my dad was always the one that was behind me. Like, hey, I don't want you, playing a video game. I want you to go out there and whatever the case was. So
Yeah.
figure something out, something that you like, and just do it. So
Yeah.
but I actually when I got into the whole Honda deal or just in cars in general, physically, it's whenever uh a good childhood friend, Hector Castro. He's the one that actually kind of got me around the cars and stuff, and just kind of just took off from there. That like anything else, you make a connection or like a network
Right, right.
of friends and stuff, and it just kind of just evolved and evolved. And like I said, by the time I was able to get a car and stuff, I was already kind of in the mix with a lot of people, and just took off from there. So.
So that was your first build, the Del Sol.
Well, the Delta, yeah, like I said, it was just a normal, like it was nothing fancy. It was just a drop deal, and like I said, we ended up putting some nitrous to it, and like I said, it didn't last long.
What came after the Del Sol?
So after the Soul was, I think it was a '92 Civic hatch. And it was naturally naturally aspirated. It was a B20 deal, and I was racing that one a lot. And in doing that, ended up trying to build a motor. Didn't work out. Whoever built it didn't put it together right, whatever. And then so that happened, and I ended up turboing it. After that, I ended up putting I think it was a full GSR swap in it, and then ended up doing like a full Grady kit at the time. They were really popular, and ended up doing that, and that's kind of how the whole boost, and now I really never looked back, and I didn't want to do anything else but just have a turbocharged anything.
Yeah.
So I had that, and then raced that for a while. I'm trying to think here, man.
Who was tuning them besides Honda back then?
So it was just back then it was just Honda or Chrome, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Back then it was just Honda and Chrome, and then you had.
Did you ever? I'm sorry to cut you off, but did you ever hang around at High rollers, like the group of like the Honda guys over there.
Off of Barry.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of them.
Really?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember everybody's name. But it's funny because I used to actually get my tent and stuff there.
Yeah.
I took my dad's truck there and, um, man,
There was some dude. Oh man, he had like a Type R Integra,
hmm
a blue one, on gold. Gold. I forgot what the brand wheels were. They're like gold, like goldish wheels.
we're probably like rotors or something, right? Or I don't know.
Think
Like I said, I know what you're talking
that
about.
was back then.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Like I said, I'm really bad with names and stuff. But
Yeah.
if I see a face, I
Yeah. Yeah.
remember right away. But yeah, all those guys, I remember all those. There's a lot of people in the neighborhood. Back in those days, there's a lot of people that used to do all the import stuff and everything else. So, um, you know, yeah, shit. That was a while back.
Yeah. So my dad used to own the tire shop right there on the corner of Barry and Irvington,
Where?
like where Mi Rancho is across the street.
Yeah,
Right, it's a taco place right now.
out of Selly's, right? Or
Yeah, but
whatever.
it was a tire shop for
Yeah,
like
it was.
years.
Yeah. It was a long. Yeah,
Yeah, my dad owned it for like years, and I used to see them coming out of high rollers,
yeah.
and then like take off right there at the little corner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I remember them.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
That's
But-
pretty cool.
and then I knew some dude named Lewis. He had like a white Honda or something like that, and then he started spraying it, whatever,
hmm
and then he got in the trucks. But, so my question is, who used to work on Hondas besides like, well, you said Honda, right? Tuned them.
Well, no. So the tuning part was back in the day, and he's still around. Jason, Stupid Fast.
Okay. No, I'm not sure.
Yeah. He's pretty big in the import deal. He or Jason Herrera. That's his last name, but everyone calls him Stupid or Stupid Fast. Yeah, that's basically what he goes by.
Yeah.
But back in the day, he used to have his own shop and stuff. And he used to tune cars and stuff. So we used to take our cars to or at least my car, I used to take it to him. And then, yeah, I mean, as time went on, like I said, when people more and more shops started popping up and everything else, it
Yeah.
just, just kind of went that route. So.
And when did you get out of Hondas?
So, I got out of Hondas back in 2000 and I guess let me rephrase that. I really never really got out of Hondas. It's just I just stopped racing them.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of friends still that do the Honda stuff and everything else, and I'm help them out here and there. Like I said, that's pretty much like where I came from as far as my background and stuff.
Right.
And, like I said, I got really for being young. I had to end up building one of my fastest cars at the time. The Honda stuff, whatever. Ended up building it was a candy red hatchback. It was back then there was no social media, right? There was no
Yeah.
Instagram, no Facebook.
Yeah.
There was MySpace.
Yeah.
MySpace was big back in the day, but the forums, that was, that basically was our.
The Honda forums.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or any forms in general, because you had like all these, forms for domestic, you have forms for imports,
Yeah.
for all that stuff. So, right, back in the day, that's what it was. It was forms, and I was very fortunate to actually be like on the magazine of Honda tuning.
Oh, nice.
I was like one of the main articles there. When
They just contact you and
yeah, well, so the car, like I said, the car was making some steam, at the time, and like I said, the forum stuff, it kind of kicked off, and a lot of people were big fans of it, because like that's where you started to do your build progress, right?
Yeah.
So you started from like the car, when I bought it, and I had bought it from like a 80-year-old grandma or something, like or just very not nothing ever messed with.
Mm-hmm.
It was a faded Milano red, and like it looked like a piece of junk, but the interior was clean and everything else. Doesn't really matter because you rip everything off anyway and put a cage in it and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I posted pictures and kind of kept up with the whole build, the build throughout the time and stuff. And like I said, a lot of people were liking what we were doing and stuff. And I try to change it up a little bit. You know, being from Houston, um, like I said, and it's kind of the thing too. My family, like I have two older brothers, and they were well. One of them was always around cars or trucks or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
He used to be really big in the lowrider scene back in the day.
Oh, nice.
So growing up seeing that stuff, I've always kind of liked that aspect of
Mm-hmm.
like candy paint and everything else. So um, we ended up like that car was built. It was built and then it was painted actually in my brother's garage.
Really?
Like actually, it wasn't even a garage. It was just
Like a
a
shed?
driveway
Oh.
with a port. That was it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Like
Yeah.
we end up me and my dad end up covering the sides with like just tarp and
Yeah.
just that was it. You know what I mean? Wet the floor and
Yeah.
just go after it, right? So like like I said, all that and people like I said, people were liking it or loving it, because it was really like a home built kind of deal.
Yeah.
And back then I had a few people help me put it together and stuff, and like I said, it just caught wind, and once the car was done, it looked really good. I'm very color coordinated, so like down to the fittings, it was it was everything matched.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of attention to detail and stuff. So I don't even. Do you remember like Mayday Garage and all those guys?
Who?
Mayday.
Mm-mm.
They were like a big. So they were kind of like the leading for like social media stuff, or not social media, but like they will always do like photo shoots with the like what car was hot at the time.
Got you.
Right.
Got you. Yeah.
And they'll actually travel. They'll actually go to Japan for like the deal at the beginning of the year. Um, the was the Tokyo Auto Salon and all that stuff. So
Okay. Okay.
they were always traveling, and they were the guys that a lot of people would look for just entertainment, right? Just
Yeah.
to read about, and that was the whole deal. They'll do like a full article about it, and so um, the reason why Honda Tuning contacted me was because of them.
Mm.
We end up actually taking the car, and I think the video is still up somewhere. I don't. I think it was was it Vimeo or Vimeo or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Venmo,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So I think the video's still up. We actually took the car to downtown and did a photo shoot.
In Houston.
In Houston, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We drove it. We actually, I trailered it, parked it, and then we actually drove it around downtown. To
Why
like
didn't you
this,
drive it?
huh?
Why didn't you drive it? Like
What?
drive it to Houston? Like
Oh,
what?
I couldn't. It like I had big slicks on it.
Oh, got
So
you.
big slicks. I had a dog box. So those ain't really normally meant to like drive like normal.
Yeah.
It's just more like a full kind of just a straight abuse kind of thing. Um, so we trailered it to the nearest location, and after that we started driving it in downtown. To the nearest spots that they wanted to take the photos from. And that got a lot of attention, and um, even to the point where, like I said, Honda Tuning.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Honda Tuning contacted me about doing the article, in the magazine and stuff. And there was even a point where Honda, um, they liked the car so much that they were talking about taking it to Japan.
The manufacturer
The
Honda.
manufacturer Honda, yeah.
Oh.
Somebody in their marketing team contacted, but that kind of just fell through. It just like I want to say wishful thinking, but it was more like I think there was too many obstacles to kind of overcome for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was gonna cost a lot of money, and I don't think obviously I don't think the higher ups wanted to either spend the money or whatever the case was,
Mm-hmm.
but. For a while, it was like a few months. We were going back and forth and back and forth.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it would have been cool, but like I said, that was the whole Honda stuff, and
Talk about the build for the candy paint one.
I mean, nowadays it's like a generic build, right?
Really?
Yeah, like back then it was just it's a sleeve block. It was a Golden Eagle sleeve deal. 84 or 84 and a half bore pistons. I think I had Carrillo rods. 72 millimeter. I think I was sponsored by Precision at the time. So, yeah, Precision, and like I said, just a generic deal, custom air to water,
Yeah.
all that stuff. So,
And the transmission.
transmission was a 4-speed dog box. By I think at that time, it was Liberty. There was only the two company. Actually, it was only one company doing it, and then, um, yeah, PPG had just started manufacturing stuff for it. So
It was front wheel drive or rear wheel
it was
drive?
front wheel drive.
Okay.
Yeah, it was all front wheel drive stuff.
Why do they switch them to rear wheel drive? Like some Hondas, you see them at the track.
You mean all wheel drive?
Mm,
Nowadays it's all wheel drive
okay,
stuff.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So a few, and this is just recent, probably like maybe 6, 7 years, about 6 years ago. There was a few people that in the past, probably more than 6 years, there was a few people that did all wheel drive conversions. But it didn't really get popular until like I'll probably say 6 years. Like I said, and that's the thing too. Like I've been away from the Honda stuff for a while.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but I want to say about 6 years ago, people started doing all-wheel drive setups on it,
Really?
and yeah, I mean it kind of took the
Did it change the game or what?
yeah, it definitely changed.
Really?
I think it did, because now you
Yeah.
got these cars, trying to compete, and they're racing. Some of the guys are racing no prep and everything else. There's
Oh
one guy
wow.
named Aaron Lopez from San Antonio, which is a really good friend of mine. Um, he he went. I don't know if you've seen the last. Was it one of the Street Outlaw deals where they were inviting people on the show and stuff to race on the street and everything else?
Was it in was it OKC or was here?
Yeah, no, it was OKC.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was the one to Oklahoma. They end up he ended up winning the whole deal.
Really?
Yeah,
And what car?
it was a black, like a 90s or 99 2000 EK. That's what he
Wow.
has. Yeah,
You know how much power it had?
we probably making like 1,500.
Damn.
Yeah.
And how much do they weigh usually? Like when they start
They're still. I
shaving?
mean, well, it depends, right? Like I think you'll probably be in somewhere around the 23 to 2,800 pounds, depends on how it's set up. Yeah, it's with just light. You know what I
That's
mean?
crazy.
But yeah.
That is crazy. You ever like try to pick one up by yourself? Like
Yeah, well, I mean, when they're gutted and everything else, yeah, I
yeah.
mean, you can just grab them from the rear, like if they have a parachute mount or whatever the case is, and just pick it up and move it. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So
So
1,500 horsepower and like 22,
I
2,300.
said 2,300 pounds. Yeah, I mean, it can get pretty quick.
Does he race a quarter mile or quarter
Uh,
mile or eighth of a mile
no, he does more
mostly?
quarter mile. Yeah, he
Or
does more
quarter?
quarter mile stuff. Yeah, yeah,
Wow, that's crazy, man.
yeah.
That is crazy. What you know what his time is? Like roughly?
Um,
Average?
I want to say from when he was front wheel drive, he went like a low 8 1/4. I think now he's in the sevens. All
Wow.
wheel drive. Yeah, I think he went like a 760 or 770 or something like that. So
That's crazy.
yeah, which is fast. Like I said,
Yeah.
regardless, I mean, being in the sevens in general is fast.
Yeah.
So it's pretty quick.
Nice. Um, what was after the Honda? Did you
So after the Honda, basically after the Honda is kind of where the I've had a few years off. Went to school and stuff, and um, decided it wasn't for me, and that's kind
school
of where
wasn't for you?
school
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
for me. Yeah.
Okay.
So and that's kind of where it kicked off, and Speed Lab kind of started. And what I built before the shop, I had bought a 2000. They were just fairly new, 2014 GMC Sierra.
The orange one?
Yeah,
Okay.
when it was gray first, and then and then doing orange. So that truck was my R&D kind of deal.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like my start, and to get into the trucks and that whole scene, and yeah, man, that build there. Um,
Talk about the build. Like would you
so
start with and then would you end up do you still have it?
no, I don't have it. No,
Okay,
no,
so
no.
talk about like when you first started, like what were you doing to it and then like what you finish it off with.
So basically, like, um, you know, um, being able to accomplish a few things with like the Honda stuff, right? Like I said, the articles and all that stuff. That kind of opened the doors for me to pick up sponsorships and everything else, right? So
Oh, yeah, nice.
so like that's kind of big for me because like I said, there's a few key companies that since then supported me to now. Um, and like when I decided to say, hey, like I end up reaching out to them like, hey, I think I'm gonna start my own shop, and but before that, I'm gonna start building this truck, and I'm gonna go buy this truck, and um, this is kind of what I want to do, and they were all for it and stuff. So like anything else, right? Went to the dealership. I didn't want to buy a used one, and like I said, they were fairly new, so they want to buy a used one or anything like that. The ones that were already in the lot and stuff. So I ended up buying a brand new one, and started with the drop. I think McGoffey's had just came out with their drop kits.
Mm-hmm.
I did that. I bought cow tracks for it. Cow track. It was like everything was kind of like just going into it. It was all
Yeah.
new, right? So there wasn't a lot of stuff available for them yet. So we did that, and man, I started off with the turbo kit right off the back.
Really?
Yeah. So when that
On precision?
no, actually, I ended up putting a Garrett on there, a Garrett G42. I think it was a 72 millimeter.
And
Um,
what motor was it?
it was the 5.3.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, direct injection 5.3. So, um, ended up building a turbo kit from scratch.
You?
So yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, that was actually my first. Um, I know we're jumping from timeline and timeline here,
Yeah, yeah.
but that was actually my first complete full like from start to finish kind of build kind of deal
Hmm.
for fabrication wise by myself.
Nice.
Um,
So you did both the cold and hot side.
yeah, the
Okay.
cold hot side. Built the intercooler. Built the intakes for it, and the piping, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was kind of like my first go to deal, first build. Um, but yeah, it was all Vibrant. So Vibrant ended up sponsoring me all the material, the intercooler core, um, and Tao ended up. That's when I was sponsored by Tao too. Tao sent me a 60 millimeter wastegate and their
Oh
blowout
no.
valve, and um, yeah, so that's kind of how it just
Who
started.
tuned it?
Um, so man, who tuned it? Uh, Chris Delgado from back then they were known as D3 Performance. Now they're Pro Speed,
Okay.
Pro Speed Auto Sports, or Auto, yeah, Auto Sports I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So, he ended up tuning it. Um, yeah, yeah,
Eh,
because there wasn't a lot of people that can do those cars, those trucks. And like I said at the time, there wasn't. Like I said, it was still fairly new. So
Yeah, yeah. Like
there
just
wasn't much technology for it, or
right.
people couldn't really do much with them. So there was a lot of headache with that truck because I think when I turbocharged it, I was probably the second one that was ever done.
Mm.
So I remember um, even I guess some like the engineers from like HP tuners and stuff were sending like just kind of like asking questions and everything else. So
Oh,
like I
okay.
said, it was okay. I think it was the wrong time of doing it, but at the same time, like I said, it was something different that hasn't been done.
Yeah.
And then like I said, after that, like the whole wrap deal and the wheels and just that car or not a car, that truck evolved a few different times. So
Yeah. And did you change the cam? Did you upgrade the transmission?
no,
What?
so when I first did it, I didn't do anything. I left it all stock. All I did was add the turbo kit, and then I think we turned it up to like I think it was like 5 or 7 pounds of boost, and we ended up running out of fuel.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Um, so we ended up doing that, and then we ended up developing this port injection kit. So I ended up putting like a Holly high ram on there and
Mm-hmm.
doing port injection and stuff. And like I said, that was kind of a pain in the ass. But um, like I said, trying to find ways to make the power and the demand, because the demand was there, and that was my whole idea behind that truck was to get it to where I can make it a production kit and I
Mm.
can start selling them. Um, but
So the port injection, you drilled, you drilled and tapped in the Holly high ram.
no, no, no. So like Holly had just came out with these high rams where you can well yeah, you could buy them as a blank,
Yeah.
or you can just put them on, because direct injection, um all the GM stuff is actually like in um the injectors are actually bolted to the head.
Okay.
It's not like a generic deal where like your LS stuff where your injectors are like in the intake.
Mm-hmm.
They're not in the intake. At the for these, so they're in the bottom, and so when I ordered the Holly High Ram, yeah, we had to actually because they didn't even offer that. We actually drilled the injector ports on the Holly, and then made our own bracket for the
Pure Rose.
for the fuel rails and yeah, just did it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What it hit at the track? Like, what were you? Is there like a certain goal you were trying to hit at the track for it, or like?
So my goal honestly was to be the first 9 second truck for that style.
Yeah.
Um, and like I said, that truck, I learned a lot on that truck. On like the do's and don'ts and like anything else, right?
Talk about the do's and don'ts.
Well, I mean, um, like I said, it was too new for what it was.
Yeah.
Direct injection the motors, right? All the DI stuff. That stuff is very, um, is very intrigued. Like as far as like trying to figure it out. Even to this day, there's people are still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't think there people really offer like actual injectors for it or anything like that because it's just the way it's there was a lot of engineering developed for those.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they're just kind of hard. Like now, like even now, people are deleting the DI stuff and just doing straight port injection.
Yeah.
At that point, it's like, you have like an a modern day LS. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
um, you know, people like I said, to this day, people still struggle. There's not really an actually option out there to do it. I know some people have like a Motec system for it now, but like I said, it's still kind of hard. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole thing nowadays with the newer vehicles and stuff. It's set up that way now, where it's just making it a little bit harder and harder to modify. Um, but that's just the way this is going. So.
Yeah. So what'd you hit?
So at the track when I first took it out, trying to remember. I think I went a 10. The very first time I think I went like a 1080 or 1060. Um, and at that, I think at that time I was, think I was like the front runner for it. I was one
Okay.
of the fastest. And then, there was another white truck. I'm trying to remember that guy's name. There was another one that he was also pushing, and I think like a few months later, a month later, whatever, he went a little bit faster. And then I end up getting crazy with it. I end up having the second ever sleeved 6.2
Mm.
from ERL back in. They're not obviously they don't exist anymore, but um, uh, I hooked up with them and they built me a whole short block to throw in there. So it was the first one of the first 427s that was out there.
Nice.
And threw that in there and everything else. Like I said, and it was
So that's your experimental truck.
yeah, that was my experimental.
Yeah,
Trip.
yeah.
Yeah, that was like my experimental on the whole DI deal.
Yeah.
And like I said, it served its purpose because like the LS stuff is so much simpler because you ain't got to deal with that.
Yeah.
So it was like when I finally got around to the LS stuff and it's funny because I did it ass backwards, right? I messed with the DI stuff first and then I reverted back to the LS.
Yeah.
When I started doing the LS stuff, I was like, man, this is cake. And there's so many parts. That's the whole thing, right? There's everywhere you look, there was parts available for it.
Yeah.
Like I said, the DI stuff, if the newer stuff, there was only certain companies that were doing it.
Yeah.
And you ask questions, nobody had an answer. Everybody had a suggestion or an opinion, but
Yeah.
nobody really had a concrete answer. Say, hey, it's this, or hey, do this.
Right.
No, it's like, well, what are you doing? Like, well, I'm asking you. You know, what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like you're supposed to be the expert.
Yeah.
Like I'm just, I'm just putting something together and hopefully it works.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was kind of the whole deal. But when I ended up doing that, I ended up taking it back out with the 427 and everything else. And like I said, I already had port injection on it, so I introduced port injection on top of DI. So there's a lot of tuning involved, and like I said, it just never really took the time to figure it out. just because there was so much other stuff going on. Like I said, and I just started the shop, so and so there's just like too much on the table.
Yeah.
But I ended up going like a 10:30 or 10:20 or something like that.
Okay.
So my goal was almost there,
Yeah.
but I was already at that point. It was kind of more like I was already fed up with it.
Yeah.
So it's just like whatever.
So we're gonna talk about your vehicles, and then we'll talk about the shop. After the orange one, what came after that?
Um, After the orange one, I actually bought an S10, a big block Chevy S10. And then we ended up throwing nitrous on it, and that only lasted one outing. Um, we end up throwing I forgot somebody's kit. Somebody let me borrow a kit and just threw it all in there. Um, and the first pass, you know, did a like a small wheelie,
Mm-hmm.
and then, um, like I said, the guy who was helping, I don't even remember who was helping me. They're like, oh, we need to lean it out a little bit or whatever the case is. The plugs still look fat and this and that. So, leaned it out, and then end up putting that thing on a bumper and almost hitting the wall in the HMP.
Wow.
Yeah. So what happened was I ended up twisting the chassis in the back, and that was it for that that truck. Really, like I parked it and I was like, I'm gonna fix it, and then just never did anything with it. And I actually ended up parting it all out and
So you
selling the chassis.
so you bought the S10, and then you threw a big block, or it came?
No, it came. I bought it. I bought it running.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I bought it running.
And then you just threw nitrous and
I just
boom.
threw nitrous and yeah, boom, yeah. Because the whole idea was just to have fun with it, just
Yeah.
keep going, and then I was
Oh, you
already
had fun with it, or?
yeah. I was already like making contacts like to basically turbocharge it, right?
Yeah.
I was already getting like the internals ordered, like the pistons, the rods, and everything else. And like I said, when that happened, I was like, you know what, just park it. When I get time for it, I'll start messing with it and everything else. And
Yeah.
just, like I said, that was that thing uh had a short life.
And what came after this? And
So after this 10, um, after this 10, I bought a F body. Um, that a lot of I guess that one kind of was another vehicle that I guess the shop is kind of known for.
mm-hmm.
Um, but it's crazy because that car never ran.
Really
Yeah. Um,
talk about that. Like,
so that car, um, I bought it a while back. And I slowly started building it. Um, and the first setup that was in there, somebody wanted it. I ended up selling it.
the setup.
The setup, yeah. And so everything kind of, it's like anything else, right? Everything kind of falls in place with business. If I needed to invest back into the company, then whatever I had that was valuable, I would sell.
Mm.
So like anything's for sale, right?
Everything has a price.
Everything has a price. Yeah. So, and that was the whole thing. Like every time I had something in the car, like the Camaro, I swear I probably had 3 or 4 different setups in it, and I sold all of them. And then that was the whole deal. Like I'll start putting it together. Okay, and you get a little bit of motivation. Like okay, I'm gonna finish it this time. And then someone comes around, hey man, I'll give you this much.
Yeah.
Man, take it. Like I'll take it out the car right now.
Yeah.
So that car kind of
Is it always like more money than what you put into it though, or is like break even sometimes?
the first no, actually I made money on all of them.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, I made money on
Okay.
all of them.
So it made sense. Like,
Yeah. I mean and that was the reason why, like like I said, whenever they tell you, hey man, like I want that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, hey, how much would you willing to
Yeah.
give me? And sometimes I don't even like the few times that's happened, I've never put a price on it. They gave me a price, and I knew like right off the back, man, it needs to go.
Yeah.
It's too good.
Yeah.
So, but so I end up the last time putting the last setup in there, I end up like I said, carrying on with the sponsors and everything else, and then kind of getting back in talk. So in 2000, right before COVID, was it? COVID happened in 19, right?
20.
20.
Yeah.
So 19. I ended up getting a phone call from Vibrant Performance, and they're like, "Hey, man, like we because in the one of the marketing guys there, I've well, even before him, I had a really good relationship with a lot of the guys there, and they they were going to SEMA, or they were going to go to PRI, and they offered me the spot because they had another vehicle that kind of, I guess, dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I think it was like 3 months before SEMA or 2 months before SEMA.
Yeah.
Then they're calling me back and say, "Hey, our SEMA car dropped, and how far along are you with the car?" I'm like, "I haven't even started working on it."
On the Camaro.
On the Camaro, yeah,
Okay.
like the Camaro was like bare, um,
Like
had
a roller.
yeah, it was just a yeah, it was just a roller.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just a roller. No paint job. Had different color fenders on it. Like it was a project, right? So
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, well, hey, like do you want to do it? Like I think this would be a good opportunity for you. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll do it. Me not thinking, okay, like you're 2 or 3 months out, whatever. That's a lot of work. And
Yeah.
and yeah, luckily somehow, some way, they sent me, and that was kind of the start of a few other relationships as far as companies goes, because Vibrant was um, willing to help, right?
Yeah.
So they made a few contacts for us as well, like um, you know Garrett Turbo, which they're you never really hear them sponsoring anybody. And I was very fortunate to be sponsored by them.
Mm-hmm.
So they sent me a turbo, and then um, uh, Turbo Smart was another company that came on board, and there's a bunch of companies that came on board, and like from one week to another, I started just getting shipments, and
Nice.
and Vibrant sent me enough parts or material and parts to put like 3 cars together.
Wow.
They just kind of sent me everything in their catalog. And yeah, just literally 2 weeks before SEMA, I started putting the car together. Um, and got everything situated. We painted the chassis, did all that stuff, and then I ended up getting it wrapped. So it was like a red candy color. And I did this. I kind of did the same theme as I did with the Civic. It was the black and red theme.
Okay.
So my wheels were all black and red. The interior, like the engine bay, the way it was dressed, it was all black and red. Um, and so that all happened. I just got lucky, and literally, like I said, it was last minute. Um, I ended up showing up to the SEMA to Vegas 6 hours before the show started.
Mm.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, like I got very lucky, and they I remember they had to beg the guard to let me in.
Because they already
The
closed.
guard, well, yeah, because everything's closed. Like the deadline is like a Monday at 8 o'clock at night. So the show starts on Wednesday.
So you showed up.
I showed up Tuesday, or
Oh.
actually I showed up Wednesday
Morning.
at 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
that's how backed up I was. I was just running late. You know what I mean? Like I said, and luckily, like I said, they were the only booth that didn't have a car.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like leading up to it, I was getting phone calls like, "Hey man, where are you at?" Like, dude, I'm still in Houston. Like, it's Monday. You should already be on the road. Like,
Well, you should already be
yeah,
there.
I should already be
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Technically, I should already be there. Like,
Yeah.
dude, like, man, I promise I'll make it. I'll make it. And dude, just hauled ass. And one of my good friends met me halfway. If it wasn't for him, to be honest with you, I probably would have never made it.
Wow.
Cause I promise you, man, I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep the whole 2 weeks almost. Like, I probably, if anything, I was taking like an hour nap here and there, and that was
Wow.
it. Um,
Trying to finish for SEMA.
Trying to finish for SEMA, but it's like anything else, right? You have to sacrifice sometimes to see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And most of the time, like I said, I know you hear a lot of people say, "Oh, you have to give up to see what better comes out of it," right? my goal was to just make it, not to let all these companies down that obviously trust in what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and end up being like a grand slam at the show. I even won like a little award for like the top 10 vehicles that were there.
Oh wow,
Because
nice.
it was different, right? It's a whole different vibe. Like when you go to Vegas, you go to for Sema, you got all these lifted trucks, you got these drop trucks, cars, you got lowriders, you
Yeah.
got all this other stuff, right? And you know, you had this drag car. Um, and like I said, it was a different twist to it.
Mhm.
The way that the turbo setup was, it had a lot of titanium on it.
Got you.
Um, and
So it's shining.
yeah, it was just different, right?
Yeah.
So when people walk in, what made it cool was at the time for their booth setup, they used this bright royal blue carpet. So the car just stood out because
Yeah.
it was a
Yeah.
bright red candy deal
Yeah.
that was there, and that made it even more of like a wow kind of thing.
Right.
And yeah, like I said, it ended up ended up being a good thing, and it's funny because GM was in front of the booth, or around the corner, like not too far from it, and a lot of their
You caught him sign like side eye.
well, no, they actually walked up to the car.
Oh.
Like they were,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they were amused because they were showcasing the Copo and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And GM is one of the bigger companies that are there, because they take up like a, a lot of real estate there,
Mhm.
and not just inside but outside as well and everything else. So, um, yeah, it was like I said, it ended up getting a lot of attraction, a
Nice.
lot. Like end up people sending me videos from like YouTube, like, hey man, like somebody was like doing like a walk around and stuff, and your car always pops up. Like they'll come back to it and stuff. And there was a few big YouTubers, I guess back then, that were shouting out the car and everything else. So,
Yeah.
like I said, it was a good for media. It was a good social deal. It was actually my very first time in SEMA in general.
Mhm.
Actually, it was actually my first time in Vegas as well.
Oh wow,
Yeah, so
nice.
it was like a first experience for everything. So, it was
Pretty
pretty
cool.
cool. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Like I
Yeah.
said, it was something that um, that was worth it. You know,
Talk about Dirty Taco.
Dirty Taco. So that is a new build that's coming out. Yeah, the owner Dewey Bowie. Um, it's it's basically like I want to say little brother. I would probably say stepchild of White Rice.
Mhm.
Um, it's a little bit different. It's the same. The motor stuff is the same thing, right? It's a 2JZ deal, all billet, or billet block. Still stock casting head. Just because there's not nobody making them yet. Or there's some few people that are out there, but they don't really work yet. So they're still doing R&D and stuff. But so Dirty Taco is a 2JZ that's a compound. And we actually just took that beginning of the year, or this past December we took it to PRI. Um, and but yeah, so it's a compound setup. We did all the fabrication on it. All the titanium and stuff. There's a bunch of pie cuts in it. And same thing. He wanted to do something a little different. Um,
It's a customer's truck.
yeah, it's a customer. It's
Okay.
not. Yeah, it's not mine. No, no,
Okay.
no. It's Dewey Bowie's ride pretty
Nice.
much. So, I mean, he's the one that owns, like, I'm sure you heard of White Rice. I don't know if you ever seen that lime green,
Froggy.
no,
Oh.
Supra, wasabi.
Mm.
No, that's his as well.
Okay.
And he's already building like two other vehicles. So, he's always,
Nice.
yeah, he's always building cars.
Eh,
So.
does he just stick with that motor only, the 2JZ,
Yeah,
or
he's a big 2JZ guy.
really?
Like he's die hard
Where
2JZ.
does he get them, man?
Huh?
Are they hard to find? Are they hard to get?
Well, he gets all like he has like six billet blocks. They're all like it's all race engine stuff. Like it's all
Wow.
like hardcore
What? So if somebody wants to buy a 2JZ, what do they run?
as far as price and stuff.
Yeah.
Man, they got expensive nowadays. Oh, I think anything got expensive, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I think a swap now is like $6,500 or something,
Hmm.
which is pretty expensive.
Yeah.
To me, like for that when back in the day it was only like $2,000 or 3,000 max.
And what power could they make potentially?
Um, if I'm not mistaken, when you like stroke them, piston and rod, or even a piston rod deal, I think the block is probably good for safely 13, 1400.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything past that, you're liable of, splitting the block or cracking it
Yeah.
or all that stuff. So
So, what is the like? What is his? Is he trying to like? What is he competing for? Like a certain index or?
on what the Dirty Taco?
Yeah.
So Dirty Taco is more of a like a ASAC. It's kind of like a newer class that's been coming around. So it's all steel, all glass. That's one of the main I think that we're really really looking into the ASAC class. That and probably No Time.
Okay.
So, which No Time is kind of like a little bit of it's everywhere. And as some, I guess some places have it where they're a little bit more strict on the rules. Like as long as you don't have showing times,
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of places you can race. If you're showing times, then there's a lot of places you can't race. 'Cause they'll basically call it a class car.
Got you.
So if you showed times within, I think the timeline is like within a year, you can't race. So
Hmm. So what if you don't? You see some people like they'll slow down at the very end, right?
hmm
Is that why they do it? Because they don't want to show their time. Like they'll hit the brakes like I think like what 2,000 feet or something. No, not 2,000 feet.
like 200 feet, 300 feet out. Well, I mean, so
Like before they cross the line,
well, they're
they'll
like
like just brake.
yeah. I mean, it depends. Sometimes they have to abort their run because maybe they didn't feel something that went
Yeah, yeah,
right, or
yeah, yeah,
there's a bunch of stuff that can happen right during the pass. And
yeah.
yeah, I mean, so there's a bunch of stuff that goes on there. I mean, there are also uh, there's a probably reason too for that is like if there's a cap, like a 490 cap or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that. So you can't go faster than that, or
yeah,
you break out or whatever the case is, right? You get disqualified or whatever.
yeah.
Um, it all depends. Honestly, it all depends on where they're racing and what exactly they're doing. Um, you know, that'll kind of explain why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. Um, anything else about Dirty Taco? Like what's to come for it? Like anything new?
No, we're actually working on it now. We they Dewey sent it out to get a few things done, and it's already back. I actually have to go back over there to his house because he has it at his place. He has a big like 5,000 square foot shop that he built as his own little garage, like a little man cave kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where he keeps all his cars and stuff. So, I'm going over there after work and working on it here and there just to get it buttoned up because they're still wiring the truck up. So we're really really close. What I have left is really nothing. So I think we're hoping possibly even next week to be on the dyno. That's what it
Wow.
looks like.
Oh, nice.
Hopefully, as long as everything comes full circle, I think we should be on the dyno next week sometime.
Nice.
Hopefully.
Nice.
So and then testing, if everything goes on the dyno, then testing is right after that.
So when you took the yellow Camaro to SEMA, did you keep the same setup that you have now on it, or is it totally different?
The yellow Camaro, no, the yellow Camaro is a whole different car.
Oh,
So my Camaro was an F body.
okay, got you.
Yeah, my Camaro was an F body at SEMA. No, that car.
So talk about the yellow one. Is there a certain name you have for it, or?
What's the name for that car? So I'm not the owner of that car.
Okay.
It's a customer's car.
Okay.
But I do drive them. Just like Taco, like I'm actually the driver for Taco.
Okay.
Um, what is the name of the Camaro? The mud truck is Shocker. Man, it's on top of my head. I can't remember the name. But so yeah, that Camaro. That's another customer of mine. It's a '69 Camaro. It's a big block Chevy.
Looks nice, by the way. Real nice.
Yeah, it's a nice, it's old school, right? So
Yeah.
it's an old school classic car.
You
So
know,
I
it's
mean,
funny you said that 69 Camaro. That's what I asked Flacco what was his dream car, and he said that one.
oh really?
Yeah.
Nice. You know, he actually drove that car one time.
Really?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
down, like he
Like
raced it?
yeah, at H&P.
Oh, no.
I think one of his customers wanted to buy it,
Yeah.
so they put him in the seat. Like, hey, test it out for me, see what you think, whatever the case is. And I don't think it obviously didn't go through.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, that car's come a long way, for sure. Um, that car, it's a generic big block Chevy deal. Twin 98s on it, or twin 94s or 98s, turbos on there. It's on Haltech, and the full 9 yards. It's a full blown race car.
Yeah.
Um,
What's like an average power that one makes?
uh, was never. Well, I haven't put on. I think the last time they put on a dyno, I think it made 2,800 horsepower.
28?
2,800. Yeah, 28 or 2,500. Somewhere
Wow.
in there.
Nice.
Yeah. So I think all in, it'll probably make like 3,500.
Damn.
Yeah.
And what does it weigh?
That car weighs right around 20. Well, I have it set up to where if we do want to go class racing with it, it can. I think it weighs right around 2,800 pounds, 2,850.
You have to put any weights in the back? Like what they call it? Fuck. Like when you put like bags of sand?
Oh,
What is it? There's a certain name for it.
lead shot, or
Nah, they put like 50-pound bags in the back.
lead weight, or lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, little pellets and stuff. Yeah, yeah, I mean, you have that option. You have
Ballast.
like
Like ballast.
oh, ballast. Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
okay, ballast. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there's weight in the back. We just started putting weight in the front because that thing wanted a wheelie, and it still wants to wheelie.
Didn't it wheelie at H&P?
It did, yes.
Were you driving?
I was driving, yeah, yeah.
How was that feeling? How did you feel? Talk about that, like how you felt, what was going through your mind.
So like that car, right? So that car it's been a fight. Like I said, there's a few things that were wrong with the car. So when I first got the car, in my possession, we went over it, figured out a few things that were wrong with it. So we fixed it, and then, we've been taking it out to the track. We've been taking that car out a lot, because the owner wanted to make sure that the car has potential. The car should run a number and everything else, and you know, in the past he if for whatever reason it was, just they I don't think there was enough time spent on it to get it sorted out.
Yeah.
Or the attention to detail. I think it was always one of those things where, you know, shops were always busy, and so when it came to me, because I'm fabricating on one of his other vehicles, and he brought it up to me and said, "Hey, look, I have this Camaro. I've been having these issues and stuff like that. It should run this number, but hasn't got there yet."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Okay, you know what? Just bring it by. Let me look over it and let me see what we can do with it. If you give me the green light, then we'll move forward."
Yeah.
And like I said, when we first got the car, looked over it, stuff. There's already a few things that were kind of just stood out. I was like, you know what? Let me change this. Let me do this.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just start taking it out, and start getting everything tweaked out, and making sure that it works, and it does what it's supposed to. And like I said, it was an uphill battle for sure with that car. And like anything else, right? Like the way I see it, I'm still learning. You always learn new things every day, right? So there's a few things that it's kind of like, man, this doesn't work. Let's try this or let's try that.
Yeah.
And like I said, I surround myself with good enough people where I can call them and ask, start conversating and ask questions, or say, hey, what do you think about this idea, or what do you think about that? So we bounce around ideas and everything else, and got the car situated. Went out to the first outing and stuff. Just kind of took it took it baby steps, and little by little start going faster, and then up to the wheelie deal. We start going kind of fast. When
What's fast?
you can't really say the numbers. It's a no time car, right?
Okay,
So, and
okay.
that's the thing.
Yeah,
The,
yeah,
the owner
yeah.
doesn't really want to reveal
Yeah.
what the numbers and stuff. But it was going pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
And up to that point before the wheelie, like, hey, well, I think it's time to start throwing some real power at it. And I think we're only like at 22, 25 pounds of boost. So we start introducing 35, 40. So it's a big jump, especially on a big block deal. Like it's, you're not talking about 100 power, 100 horsepower here, 100 horsepower there. You're talking about like 500 horsepower or more,
Yeah.
right? Because it's a big cubic inch kind of setup. So, and no, I wasn't expecting it. I thought still like the track is good. I don't think I didn't think it would do that, and it just happened so fast. Um, it just kind of went up in the air,
Wow.
and I did my best to make sure, and there's a lot of things that kind of go through your head, but I guess in situations like that, I guess because of just my previous what I've done in the past, like that was the whole thing with the whole shop deal, and I'll bring this up later, but my whole passion was driving.
Mm.
Right, I love to drive, um, you know, and it's been a while since, like I said, since the Honda days, whatever, and I drove for a few people here and there, and that's when I got introduced to rear wheel drive stuff and everything else, but for some reason, Willie's has always been a thing. Like it just always like it's kind of like not to say a kryptonite, but um, when I first got in a rear wheel drive car, the first thing I did was wheelie.
Really?
Yeah. So, and like anybody else, when that first happens, I'm sure it's a natural thing. You freak out or you over try to correct or whatever the
Mm-hmm.
case is, right? So the first thing you do is you let off the gas, and what happens? It just slams down,
Yeah.
right?
No, you didn't try to feather it. No pedaling.
Well, that's the thing. The first time it ever happened, I didn't, when that happened, whatever. Luckily, nothing broke or anything bent or anything like that. But the feeling of just like, man, I don't want to ever feel that again.
Really?
So after that, I learned really quick, like, hey,
So you're seeing stars.
yeah, when you're up in the air, you make sure you try to do anything you can do. Ease off the throttle. Don't get all 100% off of it, or start feathering it.
Yeah.
Just play with it.
Yeah.
And like I said, from the past experience and stuff, like I said with the Camaro, when that happened, it's the first thing. It's like a first instance. Like, okay, I need a feather it. I need to bring it down softly, or as soft as I can. And luckily, I did. And just went on by my day. Whatever, came back, looked over the whole car and everything else, and that's when we started to, start throwing weight at the car. Hey, well, we need weight over here. We need weight over there. Um, nowadays you have all these sensors and stuff. So you have like a laser ride height sensor. You have a shock travel sensor. So you have all this stuff to help you.
Like technology.
Basic
now,
technology. Yeah, technology is way beyond. I don't think people understand how much technology there is. And I'm still surprised that a lot of people don't take advantage of it.
Yeah.
There's like you can set it up to where the car kind of not gonna say drives itself, but for the most part can handle everything.
Autopilot.
Yeah, it's almost like you put an autopilot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, technically,
Yeah.
but you know, lucky for me, we have that stuff already set up in the car. So start adding it up and start.
But you still need data for it, though.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
like data like that is perfect, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's a good thing that like I said, we have a bunch of data leading up to that point.
Right, right.
So we kind of know what the car's doing and this and that. So we go back, you go back to the computer and you start setting up your parameters and everything else for that, and get that situated. And like I said, trying to get the wheelie under control and stuff. And that's when we finally got that kind of sorted out. It went really fast, like right off the back.
With no wheelie.
Well, it wants the wheelie.
Oh.
It still touches it. So every time it tries a wheelie,
No wheelie bars.
No, I can't run wheelie bars in that category.
Got
Like
you.
if you do like a big slick,
Yeah.
or like your street outlaw guys or anything, big tire stuff,
Yeah.
um, you can run wheelie bars or stuff like that. But in small tire or like radio stuff that we're doing, you can't.
So it's like on a 275 28.
It's on a 275.
Okay,
Yeah.
got
It's
you.
on a 275. So
Gotcha.
yep. But yeah, it's like I said, it's a fun car for sure.
Man, it sounds crazy. So, describe the feeling how you felt whenever you wheelie. Like, if you can remember.
Um, I know you can't really cuss, right? Just
Yeah.
like the O,
Yeah.
like oh shit, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, I just remember going like looking straight and looking at the basically the scoreboard and stuff, right? You know where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at that to not seeing it no more. And it's just like pitch black. It's just dark because you look up. It's just like I'm wheeling. Like I'm up in the air, like right.
Yeah.
So it's like okay, start pedaling. You know what I mean? Start
Yeah.
pedaling. And
But you're talking about like half a second or maybe less than
it
that. Or
happened.
like you're talking fast, dude.
So I still 60-footed a 109,
Wow.
but that was on a back tire. Yeah, like I think it went up in the air point 3 within the run.
Wow.
So like as soon as I launched, we threw all the power at it, and
Yeah.
it went from here to here
Yeah.
right away. And I wrote it out pretty far, but like I said, it end up. We looked at the data and everything else. And yeah, it end up 60-footing off the rear tires.
Wow.
So
That's crazy.
Like I said, and like I said, it happened so fast. Like
Yeah.
there was no. Couldn't really, you know, um, couldn't really. I didn't really think too much of it. It's just like, I'm here, and then all of a sudden I'm here. Like, oh
Yeah.
shit, like.
How did you feel when you slammed though? Like when you bam?
Well, I didn't. Like I said, I got lucky enough. I didn't slam it.
Okay.
I end up, you know,
I see.
feathering out and everything else.
Yeah.
And like I said, it landed softly enough, I guess, to where didn't really cause any damage and stuff. And I think before we went out to the next outing and stuff, we ended up looking at. I think we end up busting one of the hind joints in the front.
Got you.
Or the ball joint, one of the two.
Yeah.
So we had to replace that, but other than that, everything's fine.
I see some like when I'm looking at races and the wheelie, and then when they slam, bow, the front suspension like break, like it was just like the whole front. I'm
Yeah.
like,
So
damn.
and that's the whole deal of like not not having a brain fart or not freaking out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean when that happens, because like I said, you see it all the time. You see it more frequently, honestly, where somebody goes up in the air and just lets off completely.
What about the ones where they're up in the air and then the air just picks them up, woof, and it just
So
that's scary, dude.
yeah, that is scary, and that can happen anytime, honestly.
Yeah.
You have to go pretty fast. Like the Camaros is mile an hour and close to where it can do that.
Damn.
So, and like I said, it just takes a split second. You know what I mean? Like if you're going down the track and you're past the 8th mile and let's say not past the 8th mile, let's say 200 foot out, right? And it just starts carrying the wheels. There's some times where you can ride it out, and there's times where, and again, like the incident with the, throwing all the power at it,
Yeah.
depending on how you have your power management set up,
Time and all that.
time based or whatever the case is, right?
Yeah.
That'll dictate how that's gonna react, and sometimes it's just not controllable. Like
Yeah.
the track can be 100% perfect, and let's just say you throw one more degree of timing at it, or one more pound of boost, or whatever the case is, or you lean it out just a little bit in one spot, in that area, it's all it takes for it to come up, and normally see that happen when you're in competition.
Why?
Excuse me, I'm burping over here. Well, because you don't want to lose.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's in our nature to, you know,
Pump it up.
do what you got to do
Yeah,
to cross that finish line first,
yeah,
right? So, um, I mean that's kind of like the main thing, right? Is to make sure that you at least for myself, a lot of people say, oh, go out and have a good time, whatever case is. It doesn't matter what happens. Like that's cool and all. Yes, I understand that, but
yeah,
I go for I'm going out there to win.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Um, as humble as I can be, I want to go out there and win. Like I
Yeah.
want to go out there and compete. You know what I mean? That's just the competitive nature that
Right.
not just myself, a few people have it. I know Flacco's the same way. A few other drivers that I know, and people that run their business and stuff. We just there's some people that are very very competitive.
Right.
When it comes down to it, and we always say it, and we always make jokes about it. We're all friends and everything else outside the cars, but when we're in the next to that lane, I don't know you, I don't care for you, and I hate you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's just the way it is. You're trying to win.
Yeah.
And that's just what racing is, honestly.
What is your reaction time usually? What do you try to keep it at?
Um, man, um, I've been pretty bad lately. Up to like I said, it's been a long time. Like in reality, I haven't competed since back in my Honda days.
Yeah.
But we just went out a month ago, about a about a month and a half ago. We went to XRP.
XRP. Yeah.
That was my first actual competition in, man,
Years.
I would say at least 7 years.
Wow.
Um,
How was it? Like the outing?
so it started rocky. Um, like I said, we went with the game plan. We thought we had the car figured out, and shit, I keep on hitting this mic.
It's alright.
We kept on. I'm here saying kept on. We went with a game plan.
Yeah.
We had everything set up and everything in. Like I said, from the data that we had, and I went in feeling really good, saying, okay, we have a car. I have to be on my A game to make sure that I'm good at the tree, and just make it A to B. And we have a good chance of either winning or at least making it far.
Mm-hmm.
And started spinning out of nowhere.
Wow.
Spun here, so like
Where was that at?
XRP.
Yeah, but what state?
Right there, right outside of Dallas, or
Okay.
before Dallas, so like passing Ennis, Ferris, Texas.
So you said that you were spinning off the line, right?
Yeah, we started
So
spinning.
did you notice a change in weather or elevation?
Well, weather was different. Elevation is, it was pretty similar to what we've been doing at HMP and stuff. You know
Okay.
what I mean? And like I said, all that stuff's important, right?
Yeah.
Because depending on the elevation, obviously you make more power, make less power, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But the man, the car just started just not wanting to cooperate.
Yeah.
Started spinning, so we started throwing weight at other locations of the car. We end up what did we end up doing? We ended up doing that. We ended up doing a lot of stuff, and then we ended up going back out. Had a freak accident on one of the lines. One of our dry brakes. It's not really a dry brake, but it's a quick release for our transmission cooler deal that we use to cool down the transmission and stuff.
Mhm.
For somehow odd reason has never failed us anything, and it ended up getting jammed. So we don't turn on the car until we actually get in right before the burnout box.
Mm-hmm.
Turn it on, did the burnout. I went super sideways, like trying to figure out what the hell's going on. In my head, like, man, it's never done that. And all of a sudden, I'm getting told to turn off the car. Well, big old puddle. The passenger side of the compartment was all full of transmission fluid. Like transmission fluid everywhere.
Damn.
So it took us like 3 hours to get that thing clean. Like I said, so we were out there Friday night. Like I said, didn't make one pass. I think we made one pass right at the end, and it went down. We thought we figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday comes around, back to square one, spinning, and then that happened. So when that happened, it happened early. Luckily, it happened early enough where, the next time we went up, it was
Anything happened to the transmission? Or
no. We just ran out of transmission fluids.
Yeah, yeah.
But luckily, there's and that's the cool thing about drag racing in general. Like when people are out there, like I said, again, you know, outside of the racetrack, everybody's cool and everything else. Obviously you go into compete mode whenever you're starting,
Right.
eliminations or whatever cases, right? But people are still willing to help out. Like I'm still willing, regardless if I'm racing you the next round, and you need a part for me that I have, I'm gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
You know.
What if I'm runner up and you're up? Like if I'm runner up and you're like first place or something.
What do you mean? Well, I mean, by the time the race is over.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like during the actual race, right?
Yeah.
Like if me and you have to line up,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden something gave up, and I'm gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
That's just the way it works, and that's kind of, that's kind of what happened with us. We asked a few of our basically our neighbors that were there, pitted next to us and stuff, and they had some transmission fluid, so we started mixing transmission fluid just to get enough to where the car's happy again. And then by that time, eliminations come up. So, first round, nervous, don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean?
And your eliminations now, right? You're
elimination. So yeah, you're pretty much like you win, you go to the next round, or
go home,
you
yeah.
just go home.
Yeah.
So I was like, man,
pack up and leave.
yeah, everybody's tired.
Yeah.
Everybody, it was already 2 long days, and first round goes down Broadway, just goes. The tree, like I said, going to compete mode. It's just you focus on the tree and everything else, and I end up treating the guy, which the guy who raced first round was very respectful, and very known. He's been pretty quick, and so he was already. It was one of those deals like if I make out of that round, then then nothing ever gets easier. It gets harder.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool. So and that that night there was a lot of fast cars out there, like a lot of fast cars. So I made it out the first round.
I heard that like around Dallas area, there's more like small tire than Houston.
There is a lot more people that do small tire stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
Or I guess I want to say more competitive.
Competitive, yeah, right.
Yeah, more
right.
competitive. It's really aggressive over there.
Right.
Yeah, for sure for small tire stuff.
Got you.
Yeah, there's a lot of Dallas is they're well known for having a lot of small tire cars, for sure, and a lot of them are very very fast.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So, as being from Houston, obviously, like I said, just like anything else, right? Like it's like you have it's like a forbidden rule kind of deal where like you have Houston on your back kind of thing. Like okay, we're from Houston. There's a few people there that are from Houston, but like I said, anything else, right? You just want to go out there and compete,
right,
and stuff. So, it's not like a Houston versus Dallas thing, which
right,
a lot of people still do that, or make it turn out that way or whatever. But, I like if there was other Houston people there, obviously I want everybody to succeed, right? So, and so stuff like that happens, and second round, because it was a small class, it was a small field. After the second round would have been in the semis, and which luckily I end up winning second round, and hell broke loose.
Really?
That's when the whole parachute situation happened.
Oh damn!
Yeah. I think that's one of your questions.
Yeah.
You asked, or somebody
asked.
Somebody asked about it. Yeah. Yeah, that happened.
Wow.
That was fun.
So what happened?
The parachute. So basically, where the brackets are welded to the actual main bar for the car. So that completely busted out.
Wow.
None of the welds broke. Anything. It just the car. And that's the thing. That car is pretty old. That car's been around for a good long time. Back in the day, they used to do a lot of 10.5, big slick racing with it, and that car was one of the fastest cars for its time. So that car's been pretty fast. That car's been obviously after the paint jobs and now it's wrapped and stuff. But that car's has some history in it. And I don't know if it's the same bar that were the parachutes. I don't know if that's the same location that they were pulling from, whatever the
Right.
case is. But um,
So y'all didn't fab the bars?
no.
Okay, it came.
It already came like that. Yeah,
Got you.
yeah. I end up fixing the parachute mount for it.
That. Time.
No, not that day. But
Oh, okay.
when I first got the
Right.
car, that was one of the things that were wrong with the car or whatever. But
Yeah.
I ended up fixing that, but it had nothing to do with the part that busted.
Yeah.
So literally the bar, I guess just from being so old and fatigued from it getting pulled and pulled and pulled, it actually ripped the bar apart.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So there's nothing you can really do about that. You know what I mean? I'm just happy that there was enough shutdown. Um, and I didn't put the car in a wall or anything like that.
Right.
I know safety's a big deal, and I'm all about safety. But at that point, it's not my personal car, so it's the way I see it, it's my customer's investment. So, and I'm the behind the wheel, so I'm trying to do whatever I can to make sure that I protect the investment.
Right.
Obviously, people can say whatever they want, like, oh, well, you should value your life a little bit more than that, and I do, obviously, but it's more of those, like, because if it was my personal car, like, I would probably do the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I would try
It's
to.
still your money, your investment.
Yeah,
too.
it's still my money, my
Yeah,
investment, right?
yeah.
So like that kind of
Yeah.
kicks in, and it's like, well, shit, need to make sure that I don't wreck this car.
Yeah. For sure.
So that, um, other than me, I don't want to say freak out, but like I said, I was looking for all the possibilities. Like and I ended up losing the brakes too.
Wow.
Yeah. So, because I started, pressing on it kind of hard, and all of a sudden it just went super soft.
Oh.
Yeah, and yeah, like I said, anything that could go wrong went wrong in that pass. At the end, it went like I said, it went fast. It's just at the end of it, anything that can go wrong went wrong. But
That's
like I
great.
said, there was enough shutdown room to where I was able to save it.
Yeah.
So
So you started like slowing down, or what happened?
no, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, I kept it in gear. Normally, on a high horsepower car like that, you have like a safety neutral, where you when you're done with the run, you click it into neutral, and then you just coast. Well, obviously, you let the parachute do its job. Um, I didn't click it into to safety neutral. I left it in third to basically run the RPMs down, which is you know it's
So you let
not.
the RPM slow you down.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, let that help me.
Right.
And then I think I still turned the corner at the end of the track at like 35, 40 miles an hour.
Damn.
Yeah, so and there's in-car videos and stuff like that. You can see where I'm like sitting there like, oh, hauling ass on the corner.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so I did that, and then like I said, right towards the end, I just like, you know what, I I put it back. I actually put it in the safety neutral, and then like I said, I turned it. By the time I felt like I can control the car, um, but I've never really been put in that position. So I mean, I think I handled it fairly well.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I said,
Sounds like it. I mean,
if I would have freaked out, and that was the whole thing. Like, and that's a lot. I tell a lot of people who are learning how to drive, or just getting into the car for the very first time, whatever the case is. The main thing you don't ever want to do is panic. You don't ever panic. Once you panic, it's game over.
yeah.
Because because like I said, when I found out, when I started tapping the brakes, and okay, brakes are gone. I could have freaked out and just stepped all the way down, and let's say for some odd reason it comes back and it just locks up the tires. And guess what? I'm in the wall, or something. You know what I mean? The other car that's next to you, you also have to think about that too.
Yeah.
You're trying to avoid not hitting the other car either.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So you not just put yourself in danger, but you also put the other driver in danger.
That's true.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that can happen.
Fast.
Fast, yeah,
Yeah.
fast. Super fast. And
Yeah.
it's funny because the guys were laughing at me because the first thing I said was like, "Man, did the parachutes hit the other guy?"
Yeah.
Like no, it just missed him, or it was never near him or whatever. Just okay, cool. I just want to make sure because, like I said, again, putting these cars together, they're expensive.
So you said if it did it hit the other guy, so he was behind you.
Yeah, the other guy was
Okay.
behind me. Yeah. Um, yeah, and like I said, I ended up winning the second round, and
Yeah.
like I said, I had to forfeit the third round, or
Yeah.
basically semifinals, because of the whole parachute deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
And who was the other guy you're racing?
Um, Brandon McGee. Yeah, I was racing Brandon McGee.
Nice, nice.
So.
Let me ask you this: when you're like when you're at the tree, right? You're staging,
Mhm.
and you let go of the button. How do you feel? Because you said right now that like you have a passion for racing, right? You have a passion like going down the track. How's that feeling like that you get if you could describe it?
Hmm. It's kind of hard to describe that. Um, Let me think here. Try to recall. So
Try not to pull like a Vin Diesel either. Like, nah, I'm
no,
playing.
nah. My voice is getting very deep. No,
I see the crown's kicking in.
no. So what's the feeling? How is the best way I can describe it? Um, so up to the race, right? Up to staging up the car to do the burnout. Um, like I said, this is way I feel. Other
Hmm.
people probably be different.
Right, right.
Some people might be way calm, don't really care, whatever cases. Um, I try to concentrate as much as I can, and just kind of have scenarios go through my head, what I need to do. Same thing. Even though, let's say I've done the burnout for the 100th time, I'm sitting there like, okay, what scenarios can go through my head? Like, okay, this can go, this can go, this can go, this can go.
Right.
Um, and you're sitting there like anything else. Um, you start to sweat. You just kind of get that rush, like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it's gonna happen. They're calling us up. You got to get ready. So the nerves kind of kick in a little bit. You're just like, okay, anxiety, a little bit of anxiety
Mm-hmm.
for me. And then as soon as I do the burnout box, as soon as I do the burnout, it kind of just calms. It's all calm. It's like the burnout kind of takes that away from me,
Yeah.
right? And then the only feeling I have after that is like, I gotta cut a light. Like I just, like competing, right? Um, whenever I spool up, and the anxiety kind of starts coming back right when I start spooling up, getting it ready, and then when I start bumping in, it just goes away again.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's because it's very loud in the car, um, but it's almost like everything kind of goes in silence, right? And then um, you kind of hear everything, like the motor and this and that. So that's something I guess I want to say I developed to listen. Um, and I don't know about nowadays, but a lot of people used to say, "Oh, the seat's my dyno or my horsepower calculator or whatever the case is, my data."
Mm-hmm.
Um, because you can feel everything that's going on. Um, I try to listen as much as I can to see make sure that the motor's making the same noise. That there's nothing that I can think of that's going wrong.
Out of the ordinary.
Out of the
Yeah.
ordinary. So, but like I said, yeah, I up to bumping in, um, it just kind of goes quiet, and then just kind of goes from there.
Damn.
Yeah, that's the best way. I guess, like I said, that's
Yeah.
how I feel. You know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
crazy. I mean, that's a good way you described it because I had a whole picture in my head right now, like
Yeah,
of everything.
yeah. It just like I said, it's just like like, and it's funny because I mean, you see it in movies and stuff like that, right? But like I said, not always it's not always that perfect picture.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like I said, the anxiety is always there. It's always there. It's just when it happens or whatever, and then anxiety kicks back in when you're going for the parachute.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because now you got to stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, it runs over, stop. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like I said, that's a whole nother. It's like a run of emotions, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like a roller coaster, honestly.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like you'll know when you're about to hit that. Was it the you're about to go for that big drive, right? And
Yeah.
it's just like you're going up, and then you're calm and everything else, and now you're starting to see
Like the drop off.
big drop off, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you're just like, oh shit, like it's about to happen, right? And you start getting all, you start getting goosebumps or whatever
Yeah.
the case, and you're just like holding on, like that's kind of what happens, It's
Yeah.
the same thing, It's just like, but as soon as you start, again, like, roller coaster and racing a car is kind of different, but just that same effect, like, okay, once you're actually into it, there's only two things you're gonna feel. Either you're gonna be scared of shit,
Mhm.
or you're gonna be enjoying it.
Yeah.
And those are, I guess, you see a bunch of examples on pictures where you see people like, you have this face expression of like a full scare, or you see like these kids that just have like this mean face, like to say nothing.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess, yeah, that's kind of the best way you can describe it.
Can you describe the adrenaline rush? Do you get adrenaline rush still?
Yeah, always.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, once I would say when you don't get the adrenaline rush, I think that's when you need to stop.
Mm.
I think that's the time for you to walk away.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Passion. Your passion is not there for it no more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all this, like this is, for me, this is it's fun. You know what I mean? Like it's yeah, it's a job or whatever the case is, right? It's, for me, it has a lot to do, like, on my shoulders, business. It's a job. You still get paid for to do it or whatever the case is, but um, you know, you still have to enjoy it. Like, you're not. It's hard to explain. Like, it's one of those deals where, like, you have to love what you're doing.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? Like I said, and that's one of those things. And like I said, driving is really, really a big passion of mine. It's just, it's always something I've always wanted to do. Um, I've always said it in the past, like, man, it'd be cool to drive for somebody.
Yeah.
We drive, like, it's. I would say it's like one of those fantasies where you're like, I'd rather race on someone else's dime.
Mm.
Not because it's not costing you the money or anything like that, but it's more of like an appreciation kind of thing. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, hey, you know, um, you're good enough for someone so and so to call you and say, hey, I want you to drive my stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people that build cars but don't drive them.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's go down a list of like the circumstances, right? It might be health problems, or they had a bad wreck, and the experience wasn't, it's just, and flat out, there's guys out there that just do it just more of like a trophy,
Yeah. Like a flex.
like a flex, yeah, like
Yeah.
a flex. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Is there like do people get hate from that? Like, oh, um he don't he don't race his own car.
yeah, you do. I like I said, for me, this is still fresh.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I've seen it. I've seen it where, oh, like, well, you know people make comments, oh, he doesn't have his own stuff,
Mm-hmm.
or he doesn't drive his own cars, or whatever the case is,
Yeah.
or like, oh, yeah, it just, there's always the people out there, that have something to say. Um, and it's one of those deals where, I mean, it just kind of, it comes with territory, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, like I said, I've been fortunate enough and blessed to have the opportunity to, like I said, drive for my customers. But also we also have a shop car ourselves. I don't know if you've seen the 56 Ford Fairlane,
Yeah, yeah, the black one.
the black and red one.
The rap one?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you know, when I sold the Camaro and stuff, all my sponsorships and everything went to that car.
Got you.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the shop car for us.
So let's get into the shop real quick. Talk about the shop, like the builds you've been doing. What maybe some known people. I seen you did Froggy, the green one.
Mm-hmm.
Did you work on Oddball Turbo? Did you work on that one?
No. He does his own stuff.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Garrett.
Garrett, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Garrett does his own stuff.
Froggy. You worked on Crawfish.
Yeah. So
What other one?
I mean, like, worked on a lot of different people's vehicles. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Froggy. I mean, you don't take it way back. I mean, you're talking
I
about.
seen Froggy at the track.
Yeah, so we did Froggy a long time ago, and it was twin turbo deal. Flacco's truck, we did Flacco's truck whenever after he wrecked or they wrecked his truck.
You did corn fed, right?
We did corn fed, yeah.
Yeah.
The rebirth of corn fed, so we did that one. We did a lot of bunch for Flacco's customers before he was fabricating and everything else. A lot of full size trucks that we did. Man, I don't know if you know Dorian Reyna, Power Stroke Ingenuities.
Mm-mm.
He has an I think it's an F-250, long bed drag. It's a drag diesel truck. Did that one.
Nice.
We did a triple compound setup on a F-250 as well a long time ago. We've been all over the place, man. Like, you know, cars. I mean, we've helped countless, you know, people with their builds, and you know, even if it's just a small part, you know,
Yeah.
intercooler or whatever the case is. We've had a lot of late night calls from people who say, hey, you know, it's like 11 o'clock at night and call me,
Damn.
hey man, I'm in town, like this happened or whatever the case is. Okay, cool. Huh? No. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, just helping people in general, you know, like, and like, you know, my media guy over there, Baron, you know, just track support stuff. Like that's really one of the things that I'm very, very big about. You know, especially like if there's anything that I've done to help you, whatever the case is. You know, if I get a text like, hey man, like, you know, I'm gonna be at the track, whatever the case is, can you come out? Sure, I'll be there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's a big thing for me. You know what I mean? Support. Because like anything else, right? If there's no support, there's really not a lot of us, you know, that can be around.
Right. Right.
Business wise, whatever, because it goes a long way. It's not just
Yeah.
for business, right? So, you know, that's another thing too that you know, like I said, I've helped a lot of people out. Doing, I just started carrying my welding rig
Really?
in the stacker trailer. Yeah. So like for Texas 2K and stuff, we're actually repairing stuff for people.
That's bad.
We went to
Sorry, Johnny. That's pretty cool.
we went to Circuit of America in Austin for a circuit race deal.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people there that were breaking stuff, and they were come to us.
Like cracks and stuff like that.
Yeah, like a weld crack or hell, somebody brought us
Clamp or something,
a
yeah.
lower control arm that broke.
Damn.
Yeah, and we welded that together. You know, it's like there's a lot of like, you know, stuff that you wouldn't think. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, but you take like the full setup, like to weld titanium and.
Yeah, and take the the argon bottle. We take the welder. We take
Damn.
the generator to fire it up. Like we take everything. Yeah,
That's crazy.
we just started doing that, and that's something that we're implying for this year, and moving forward. Like if we're at a racetrack, you know, we kind of tell the promoter, say, hey, you know, we're here. We're also, you know, I think no, I would say 90% of the time, if we're there, we're obviously racing.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, just to have the rig there,
Yeah.
even for us, like if we have to, if some happens, some breaks, whatever cases, we can fix it right there and then. Especially if we're out of town.
Yeah.
That's another thing too. Like, you know, it's hard to find people, or you know, like just because some of these tracks are out of town and out of state or whatever, you know, they're miles and miles away in the middle of nowhere.
Middle note. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, you got to make sure you're fully prepared.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, like I said, that's, you know, what we normally do, but like, I know we went off topic, but like, yeah, I mean, talking about like all some of the stuff on the gas guys, like all that, um, brownie. We worked on brownie. We worked on crawfish. We worked on
Are you getting it back soon? Crawfish.
um. As far as I know Flacco has it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's working on it. I know they made some modifications to or either there has to be modifications to the turbo kit, or vice versa. Um, yeah, I mean, no, I think whenever I guess they're ready, or when they cross that bridge, either I'll get a phone call, from Flacco or from Beto, and it's like, hey, well, we need to take care of this. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they've been a long customer of mine. Same thing with, like I said, Flacco used to be a customer that before he started doing his own stuff and everything else. So, um, just the guys from Pasadena. I did a bunch of their trucks.
Who?
Pasadena Speed
Okay,
Shop.
Speed Shop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
got you. Yeah.
Adrian and Roy and them, or Adrian and Roy. I've done a few builds for them. And like I said, man, I've worked not just so like that's the cool thing about it. From my standpoint, I don't just have my own customers. Like as far as like that come just for the shop.
Yeah.
I also do a lot of work for other shops.
Oh, okay.
So I have like a whole, it's a whole network, right? So like
Yeah, that's awesome.
I have
Yeah.
my own customers, but I also have, you know, the shops that I deal with, and obviously their customers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I said, at the end of the day, it's about making sure that I can try to take care of her, and it sucks because sometimes it doesn't happen that way. You know what I mean? Either because either we're overbooked or whatever the case is.
Right.
I do have a long wait list.
I heard you're booked out like a year.
Pretty close to it. Yeah. I mean, like right now, I've probably turned away more work than I've done in the past like 3 years.
Why?
Not enough people. We don't have a big crew. It's
Oh.
yeah, like it just
Okay.
um.
Is it like the experience of like the welding, like or like what?
What do you mean, like why
Like
people are
like
coming to us?
maybe like welding titanium or like
I think all the way around. You know.
I mean, like, cause not everybody could weld titanium.
No, not everybody can weld titanium. I mean, I think a lot of people have expectations. That's
Yeah.
one. And like I said, I that's one thing that we do take at the shop. We're very prideful of what we do.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that when it leaves the shop, it looks great. You know what I mean? It does what it's supposed to, and it's pleasing to the eye, right?
Right.
My main motto, honestly, for any vehicle that goes in the shop is, um, work on it like if it was my own,
Right.
because you don't want to do your own stuff and make it look half-assed or anything like that, right? Um, and I think, like I said, that's been the deal since day one. Like anything that comes in the shop, make sure it leaves, and make sure it leaves A1. Make sure it leaves right.
Yeah.
Um, because at the end of the day, that's your reputation. That's the way I see it. That's your resume.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your work speaks for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be the loudest in the room, whatever the case is. Just sit back. You did your job. You did it. You did it your best of your abilities, and you did it right. It'll do its talking.
I tell you what, like I bet you, when, when people see crawfish, they see the nice welds and
Mm-hmm.
they see like the nice piping, hot side coat. So you did both the hot side and cold side for it? Everything.
Mm-hmm.
So they see it and they're like, man, that looks super nice. Like it's well put together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it speaks for itself, like you said. Any, you think you have any competition in Houston? Like anybody that maybe does other fabrication, like on like what you do?
Man, I know there's and I'm well aware of a lot of people. How can I say this without being flamed? I stay in my own lane. Like, I have my own road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some people have it easier than what when I came up. So like I don't really, in reality, I really don't hate on anybody.
Yeah.
You know, when I do like anything else, it's someone's nature, and you look at something, you're like, man, probably this could have been better, or whatever the case is.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
the experience, right? It's just that's the whole thing, right? Whenever
Especially whenever they're like in your not your lane, but they're in your
we're on
avenue.
the same avenue, yeah, we're on
Yeah,
the same
yeah,
avenue and everything else, right?
yeah.
The thing um the thing I guess that's I'm gonna say separates me, but just I've been doing this for quite some time. I started young, and like I said, it wasn't the easiest road. But I've as far as the shop, because the shop is very important to me. That's basically my livelihood, right?
Right.
And not just for myself, but for my guys or whatever the case is. Like there's a lot of good that comes out of the shop.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good reasons, and you know, I I go in there, not thinking of who am I going to compete with, who's coming up, or whatever the case is. There's always going to be somebody better than you, whatever the case is, right? Somebody might just have the talent. Somebody just may be able to just pick up a torch and just say, hey, I'm gonna weld aluminum better than half of 80% of the welders that are out there.
Right.
Some people just have that niche. Um, I worked on the craft a lot. Um, I've thrown a lot of money away working on the craft. Um, but as far as like trying to see other people, like just say trying to compete or anything, cause I don't see it that way. I'm actually, it's there's enough work for everyone. There's enough people to for people to have options. It's always good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the thing about what my shop has is it's a variety of a little bit of everything. Because we're not just dealing with one type of vehicle or one platform. We're kind of like all over the place.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So like, if you want to put it in categories, you have your GM, and you got your trucks and you got your cars.
I seen you had a promo out there, right?
Yeah, yeah, we had a promo out there. We had, like I said that. We have a mud truck. So like I said, we got mud trucks, we have
Diesels.
diesels, we
Yeah.
have, you got your classics, your old school hot rods, and you got your new hot rods. We're, and we're jumping into like I've done a few exotics in the past. So
Oh, yeah, I seen that. Yeah, you
you
did the
know,
rear of a Lambo, right? The
yeah,
Huracan.
the Huracan, the titanium stuff, and everything else,
That was
and
nice. Crazy.
we're actually in the process now of twin turboing some Lambos.
Really,
So that's the
that's
next
freaking
phase.
awesome.
Yeah. So like I said, that's like I said.
That's crazy.
So yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like that, it's different. You know what I mean? Like I said, and that's
Yeah.
why again that's where I say, you know, it's not that I'm looking over my shoulder for competition or anything like that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I said, I want everybody to make it, right, regardless of what it is.
You know, sorry to cut you off, but you know, so you're doing the trucks, the diesels, but when you get into exotics, it's crazy. Like
Yeah,
it's like a whole different step,
it's a
like,
whole different deal,
whole different ballgame.
and that's the thing there with those kind of that kind of clientele and everything else.
Exactly. Yep.
There's really no room for there's no room for mistakes,
Yeah.
because it's a really cutthroat kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
You only the way I see it is you only really have one shot with it.
Yeah.
Especially with social media now and everything
Oh
else.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's like, you say one bad word,
Yeah.
it's game over.
Yep.
And that's how I treat it looking forward. Like I said, and again, we're all humans. We have some mistakes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've done some mistakes in the past and everything else, and and like I said, but you learn from it. That's
Right.
that's the key, right? Is to make sure that for every deal that happens, you analyze what happened, and you understand what could have changed to make it better,
Mm-hmm.
and then you move on to the next thing. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
just pretty much it. Try not to stick, um, try not to be too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Kind of
Got you.
deal. And that's kind of like I said, moving, to this day, like I'm just starting to kind of, because I'm very hard on myself when it comes to a lot of stuff that happens at the shop. Um, and but like I said, with projects or whatever the case is, like I want to make sure that everything comes out right.
Right.
But there's a lot of moving parts, and it's just like you just trying to make sure that that everything kind of stays in its path. Because like I said, I'm in it for the long run. I'm
Yeah.
in it for the next 30 years.
Yeah. Damn.
You know,
Nice.
that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it as it's gonna be a long road.
Right.
So.
You worked on many shops, other vehicles. Any shop in Houston you think like maybe they have like really fast cars, really fast trucks?
Man,
You think that's like pumping out something?
um, dude, everybody's trying to. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
right now it's very competitive. Honestly, like
Yeah, yeah.
everybody's very competitive. Like, like I said, I've done for, and like I said, I might not do work for them, no, now or whatever case is, right? But like, there's a lot of people that are pushing. I feel like right now, especially the truck scene, it's very competitive,
Yeah.
very competitive. The car scene, like I said, that it's, you know, because most of the time, the same people that are pushing on the truck stuff are probably the same people that are pushing the car stuff.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Um, and so it's basically the kind of the same crowd.
Yeah.
But like I said, everyone has a different. Everyone either races a different class, different category, whatever the case is. They might go to the same race or they might go to different races, but same concept.
Mm-hmm.
No, man, I honestly, I think like you have a lot of shops right now competing, a lot. Um, and I mean, if we don't have anything in that category, I promise you, we probably done something to help any of those shops out
Yeah.
to be where they're at. And that's like I said, that's the cool thing about it, and that's the thing. Like there's a lot of stuff I do too that I'm not allowed to post, or we have like an agreement, like
Agreement. Yeah.
yeah, like a private label kind of thing.
Got you.
So like I said, regardless, one way or another, I'm sure we helped somebody out.
Yeah.
So
Let's get into some Q&A. Let's switch it up real quick.
okay,
What is your favorite food?
favorite food?
Yeah.
Pizza.
From where?
Huh?
From where?
Pizza Hut. I know it's generic as hell, but yeah.
Favorite drink? Please don't say Coke and please don't say this one because you haven't drunk it.
No. I'm sipping it. Trust me. Favorite drink. I would have to say Garrison Brothers whiskey,
Okay. Like the bourbon?
the bourbon.
Nice. Dream core?
Dream car. Dream car. What would I love to have? Let's say dream truck. 68 C10.
68 C10.
Yeah.
Why that one?
Man, I don't know, just something about the way it looks, the body and yeah, just I don't know. It's just those trucks are nice.
100K in cash or 5 Bitcoin?
I don't know how to do none of the Bitcoin stuff or anything else, so I would just do cash.
Okay. Your favorite music artist right now?
Favorite music.
Something you have maybe on replay or something?
Man, can't go wrong with Young Dolph.
Young Dolph? Okay. For the bucket list, what's on your bucket list?
Travel,
Okay.
travel, and when I mean travel, I mean just anywhere. Outside of the United States.
Okay. It's like
Yeah.
crossing the waters.
Yeah, across the water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, not really, man.
What is race car spelled backwards?
Race car spelled backwards. Shit, I don't know. Uh, why am I having a such hard time trying to figure this out? Race car spelled backwards. Race car.
What about your buddy? He's over there thinking, or he's sleeping, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know. Rack. I don't know.
It's race car. Race car spelled backwards is race car. R-A, it's race car. Right, Johnny?
Is it?
Yeah.
I feel stupid as shit.
Nah, it's like a little riddle. Nah, it is race car. Because you have race car, and then car is spelled backwards is R-A-C, and then the E from the race.
Ah.
So it's race car, yeah. It's because Flacco said a riddle. I couldn't even get it. Like he said I think it was a joke or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right. I didn't get it. I was like, that was a joke. That was a joke, Flacco. He was like, nah, it's a riddle. I was like, all right, whatever. Oh, your best manufacturer now for turbos, like for us now.
Best manufacturer?
Yeah,
Garrett. Yep.
Okay. What about like a fuel system? Y'all work on fuel systems there? Y'all do like motor work at Speed Lab?
Yes, we do. We're capable, but I'm trying to stay away from it.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as like fuel system is
Maybe like Motion Works or Aeromotive. That
talking about like fuel pumps, fuel.
Yeah. Regulators.
Well, my go-to was always Aeromotive.
Yeah.
But recently, TurboSmart just started coming out with their own fuel systems line as far as like regulators and all that stuff, and they're about to push it even more.
Mm-hmm.
So, just because I'm sponsored by TurboSmart, I gotta give them a shout out.
TurboSmart, let's go.
Yeah, TurboSmart.
I think that's it for the Q&A. What are your thoughts on the track closing in Baytown?
It sucks.
Really?
Yeah, I just like anything else, like I'm sure everybody kind of has the same thing. It's that's the first track I started racing at.
Yeah.
When when they had to sign over when you're underage and stuff. My pops will always sign for me. Yeah, because there's a co-signer, right?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever what they call their parent. Was it guardian or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was that was the track to go to. Obviously H&P and Dean's an awesome person. Like I said, we've over the years ended up developing a really good relationship. And but I think even back then, for what I was doing was quarter mile stuff. So
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go to Baytown. I wanted to go to Baytown. I remember when Baytown was open on Sundays. That's how far back, like,
Yeah.
for test and tune and everything else. So, it sucks because, a lot of people went there. Like I said, this high horsepower stuff and everything else, eighth mile is always, it's probably the better deal.
Right.
But, like, to test, like, your other customers' vehicles and everything else, just, and that's a historic track, I remember going to NHRA to watch the big dogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Watch these famous people that you see on TV.
Mm-hmm.
You have the ability to actually sit there and actually shake their hands and talk to them in the pits and everything else. So, just experience. I think that kind of what kills it.
Yeah.
You know.
And the memories you build and all that.
Well, yeah, the memories
Yeah,
and everything else. I mean, honestly, like half of the people I met were at the racetracks.
Yeah.
Actually, probably all the people I met were all at the racetracks.
Yeah.
So,
What is something right now that's like, how can I say this? What is something right now that you're not really feeling into the car and truck scene, or like into racing? You think it's changed like since you started?
it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot, honestly. The drag racing stuff hasn't really, Me personally, I feel like, I guess to answer your question, I mean, I'm trying to figure out like, mm, when you say truck scene or in car scene, whatever, like what, like specifically, what are you trying to?
Anything like anything that comes to mind.
Like events and stuff?
I mean, events. Maybe it's how people are. Maybe it's like customers or like
Um,
maybe how people the way they think.
I think
Like
people are entitled more.
okay,
I think social media's, I think social media's,
so they
um,
feel more entitled.
yeah, I think feel
Yeah,
like they feel like they're more entitled.
yeah.
I feel like they're, and again, I'm trying not to get flamed here. Um, um, what I mean by entitlement, like, I guess like opinions, right?
Mhm.
Like if you have people are very opinionated nowadays. They they have to have a saying in something. Like they have to find a flaw. I would think that and like I said, social media has changed the game a bunch.
Yeah.
Where some people, I guess, speak their voice, and
They might feel like they have a voice.
yeah, like they have a voice. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like they like you know they might just started doing this. I don't know, a week,
Racing. Right. Yeah.
2 weeks from whatever the case is, and they, oh well, maybe you should have done this or you should try that. And like I
Oh.
said, I don't look at it. I try to stay away from the negativity. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I just look at it and just kind of like, and I read the comments or whatever the case is, right? And I start laughing like, okay, like whatever. Just move on. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but I think people are very, very opinionated nowadays. And I think that's kind of, I think it's more bad than good.
Yeah.
You know, um, especially when like, you know, they don't know. Sometimes they don't understand what they're looking at or they're talking about.
Yeah.
And then when you're trying to correct them, that's another thing that fires back. It's like
Yeah.
hey man, like why don't you think about it this way?
Yeah.
No, like I know what I'm saying, and just yeah, like I said, very just opinionated. I think that's the big turn off, I guess.
Yeah. How do you think like the racing's changed?
Um, there's a lot more people with money. Like seriously, and I don't know. Like I said, and maybe I missed a memo or whatever when it comes to like Bitcoin
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all these other crypto stuff and everything else. But
Yeah.
man, like um, you know, like recently I've seen I'm gonna say within the next or within the last like 2-3 years, like you've seen a lot of people come up, like with these rigs and these cars, and it's just like, damn, like what am I doing wrong? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, it's all it's it just, but it's very competitive now. I think technology has gotten so far where you know people are actually, like I said, people are starting to use the ECUs or whatever the case is to its full potential.
Mhm.
That's when you're starting to see a lot of people go really, really fast.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's more competitive for sure. Like it's very, very competitive. Just for all the way from like, you know, the ECU side to like even like the tools nowadays. Like just the equipment. Man, it's just all over the place. Like it's good. Um, it's a positive change. Um, as long as the whole government deal doesn't,
Yeah.
it's just the EPA and all this other stuff and
EV and stuff like
the
that.
EV and
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I don't have nothing against the EV stuff. It's cool, but
I
it
think you
just,
posted something about that, right? Like something about like
oh
I mean
I just did the Fairlane deal, yeah, because it just came up on my deal, yeah.
yeah.
It just there's nothing beats I wouldn't say American muscle, but just nothing beats an actual piss in a rock kind of
Yeah.
setup or rotary, like just that raw feeling, that raw power, and the noise and everything else.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm sure you've seen the when they did the commercials and stuff, or when they first announced the EV cars and stuff, and they started doing these
Promote.
these sound systems, like
Yeah.
little sound systems of a car running and everything else. Like, bro, come on, like it's an EV. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
quiet. You know, like I said, I have nothing against it. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of customers have like these Tesla plaids and everything else, and they're fast as shit. And it's
Yeah.
just it's different. It's it's a whole different feeling.
Yeah.
But I don't think nothing beats actual physical
Right.
noise and raw power and stuff. It's just I think that's pretty badass.
Talk about the future for Speed Lab. I know you said you were getting to exotics, but if you give us some more info.
Um, so where do I see Speed Lab in the future? I see Speed Lab um slowly stepping away doing the day in day out car or truck fabrication.
Mhm.
I actually want and I have like a whole like a booklet or like a thing that I've always draw ideas and stuff, and I have I have a shit ton of like just papers sitting around um of ideas of products. I want to switch it to be like a production company,
Okay.
where I'm making parts for for whatever it is, vehicles or whatever the case is. That's I think that's the main goal for Speed Lab is to basically able to produce another income without without taking in work
Mm.
kind of deal. E-commerce,
Gotcha. Yeah.
I've already sell, and I'm set up with a lot of, a lot of wholesalers and a lot of companies and everything else. And I'm a dealer for a lot of these companies. Um, and then I've been slow on trying to get like the website stuff going. I have it there. It's all there.
Mhm.
I just haven't put nothing live. Like where I can sell parts off online and everything else. I do keep a lot of inventory in stock, and a lot of locals buy stuff from me.
Gotcha.
So I do supply a lot of the local stuff, because they know that I carry a lot of parts, or a lot of fabrication materials and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, and because I'm really big with Vibrant and stuff, like like I said, I have variety of stuff that I keep in stock.
Mhm.
Not just it's not just for my personal customers or anything like that, but to also sell
Mhm.
outright. And but I think the future is kind of get into like the exotic stuff, seeing where that goes. I think we have really really good potential in that. Um, and man, like everyone, I mean, I guess let's say you know my dream or fantasy whatever is to just go out and race,
Yeah.
enjoy. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I was gonna say in the beginning of the deal. Like the perception of opening the shop was to drive.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like I thought me open being a business owner, me being the one calling the shots and everything else. Yeah, I'm gonna drive all these vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was completely wrong.
Yeah.
That was stupid of me.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't work that way. You know,
Yeah.
but like I said, everything's set up now where it's rolling. It's rolling.
Nice.
So.
What are some lessons you learned like when you uh building a race car?
Mm. As far as like what,
Um.
like just the build process in
Yeah,
general
the
or
build
whatever.
process. Yep.
Um, wait, ask that again.
What are some lessons you learned?
Lessons,
Yeah.
lessons. Um,
Maybe time management. Maybe not rushing. Maybe.
well, it doesn't matter what you do. Like, you can be as prepared as possible, and you're still gonna rush. Like, I guess, um, you can like order all the stuff that you could think of and everything else, and there's still something that's missing. You know what I mean? I haven't had the luxury yet to actually sit there and actually build something, um, not being rushed. Like I said, because of just how busy we are. So like the Fairlane, it's a perfect example. Like that thing kind of got rushed throughout the whole process. It took forever,
Mm-hmm.
but because the little spurts of time that we have, like, oh, we ran out of material to do this or finish this or whatever the case is. We'll only have like an hour and a half, 2 hours rest of the day. You know what? Let's do it. Let's just get to it.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there, busting ass trying to get it done, as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Just because we know the next day we're gonna be busy again. You know, um, not thinking, or no, I said not thinking. Let me retract that. Um, don't act like you know it all. That's
Mm.
another thing. Especially with race cars and everything else. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I think, and I see this a lot, with a lot of people. Um, struggling or whatever case is, trying to get a car going or whatever. I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
Um, ego. Ego's one big deal that you kind of have to let go a little bit when it comes to like building a car and stuff like that, because you don't know all the answers.
Yeah.
And somebody, like I said, somebody has more experience than you, have been doing it probably longer than you, or just in general, like like I said, we talked about the whole fabrication thing, about competition and everything else. Somebody might be better than you in some aspect. Don't hurt to ask questions.
Yeah.
You know,
For sure. Yeah.
network. I think network is key when it comes to like building a race car.
Mm-hmm.
So
What So he's your media guy?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so he posts like social media and stuff like
yeah.
that.
He's the one that does like the YouTube, like gets all the YouTube stuff, content and everything else, and gets all the stuff ready for me. Or he either he'll post it or I'll post it, whatever
So
the
he
case is.
carries the camera.
Yeah, he's the one that carries the camera.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice, nice.
yeah. He's the cameraman.
Cameraman.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I think we touched on a bunch of stuff. Anything else like you want to discuss, Rick? Maybe get off your chest, or we talk. Oh, talk about the Speed Lab shop truck. I mean, your stop car.
The Fairlane.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Like what's done to it? What's maybe some future add-ons.
so right now we just got the phone call. Was it today? Was it today or yesterday? The motor's done. So
Okay.
we had our motor at Texas 2K. We end up dropping a valve. Um, has a lot of just that car was well spent. Money well spent.
Mm-hmm.
That's the and I'll backtrack just a little bit. Like when we got that car, like the same scenario with the Camaro, but it wasn't as bad. The Fairlane um had some issues that needed to be addressed, and long story short, the owner um wanted to basically he wanted to make sure everything was right,
Mm.
especially because like the car was capable of making a lot of power and everything else. And then like I said, moving forward to with my F body and everything else, and I ended up selling that car to the original owners, and we actually went back to Mexico.
Mm.
That car was titled, had a Mexican title in it.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So I ended up, they called me back. They wanted it because they've been following it since I've been building it or whatever. So they wanted it back, and so I sold it to them. And I still had to do all the stuff with the sponsor stuff. So I transferred all my sponsorships to that car. Um, and a lot of my parts that I didn't sell with the F body that will work with that car, I put all in that.
Got you.
And you know, it's a '56 Ford Fairlane.
To maybe fans out there, customers, anything you want to have to say to them in the camera?
Um, what do you say? No, I mean, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed. I really appreciate the time that for you having me on here on your podcast and stuff, and